instead of the computer. And if it does that, I don't get an audio version of it.
Oh,
And
really?
some people like to listen to the sessions rather than watch them.
Yeah.
So I've got to be careful it doesn't go to the cloud. And then I think one week I stopped and started again too quick, and
Oh,
consequently I only ended up at the end of the session. I only had one of them. I didn't have both, so I had to rely on my backup recording to do it, which meant I had to edit things. Mm. Yeah, anyway,
Evening, everyone.
yeah, good on you, Dennis. How are you?
Busy. My daughter's moving out into an apartment, so I've been bringing beds and fridges over and putting in hobs and cookers and making furniture. So it's been a busy week, and it'll be a busy few more weeks.
Right. So where's she moving to? Into your barn?
No, it's an apartment. It's only literally 5 minutes walk from my house, so it's very close. Um, but yeah, it's a big deal. She's only 21, so she's moving out and doing her own thing, which
Yeah,
is great.
she's bucking the trend. I thought they all stayed until they were in their 30s these days.
Yeah, yeah. No, she's very independent. She's in college. She's um yeah, no, it's nice. And it'll be good for her. It'll take a while, these things take a while to kind of get fully out. And she's always close, so we're not too far away if she needs us. So
Yeah, good. Yeah.
but I've been labeled as Mr. Grumpy the last few days. I knew myself I wasn't in the best of moods, but when the rest of the family start calling you grumpy, there's something up. I think it's a slow release of anger coming out in a sort of a just a gentle grumpiness as opposed to rage. So we'll see how long that goes for. I could feel
So
it on the call, yeah.
you're not curious about what the grumpiness is about?
Well, yeah, I mean, like it feels like a sort of an anger, frustration, lots of that stuff, and it's just coming out in the form of being grumpy and short-tempered and reactive. Um, I'm I'm watching it. I'm keeping an eye on it. Like I'm not. It feels like it's something healthy that just needs to be released. If that makes any sense. Um,
Don't worry about the sensibleness of it. That's good stuff. If you can. So yeah, it feels like it's a release. It feels like it's a good thing. We
yeah,
don't want to stop it then, do we? We want to.
no, it feels like something I would have had all my young life. Um, not, we were talking about before people pleasing and kind of keeping a lid on things, and this is some sort of a lid lifted and something releasing. But I suppose when you live with six other people and there's children, you can't just go screaming and shouting around the place, letting out your
Oh,
anger.
yeah,
So
of course.
the grumpiness is just a gentle release that doesn't traumatize anyone else. So I
Yeah,
suppose
okay.
that's
Yeah, yeah. Well, it does
yeah,
traumatize others, but not in a big way, eh? Yeah.
yeah, yeah, minimal impact
Right.
on others. Yeah.
So what about, are you noticing any triggers? Are there triggers for episodes of it? Is it there all the time? Is it there when you wake up in the morning?
Yeah, no, it's there all the time. It's like the default state. Um, as soon as I get up and interact with people, the grumpiness is kind of. But I might notice it really because I'm just responding or reacting, engaging, conversations. But it's like I'm rushed or stressed or frustrated, and it's expressing. And then that someone will say, "Jesus, you know, what side of the bed did you get out of?" Or, "Oh, Mr. Grumpy's here again," this kind of thing. And I'm like, "Oh, okay, yeah." But it would have been something I suppressed probably for a long time. And in another way, it reminds me of my dad as well, that sort of behavior. So I've been doing a lot of work on the inner child. I've been listening to a good bit of that chap Bradshaw, who kind of, he, I think he was back in the 70s. He's dead now, but that sort of, it's like your meditation, Vince, going back to the child inside and just recognizing what happened and how you were reared, and just having a sense of compassion for yourself or for your younger self. So I've done a good bit of that in the last 2 to 3 weeks because I couldn't do anything else. Like the book Paul recommended, I just stopped reading it. I'm not doing any guiding. I'm coming on here, but even at the last session yesterday, I just noticed that sort of a frustration, a sort of a, and I didn't express it. I'm aware it's there, but like I could be, immaturely expressing it as, what are people talking about? What are all these stupid questions? Like we need to get on with this awakening. Stop asking intellectual questions and let's get down to brass taxes. That sort of a sense of frustration is there. And I had a couple of weird dreams in the last 2 weeks too. They're all about kind of childhood. It was like I was in a room in my granny's years ago, and I'm young, and there's like some demonic hands coming for me, and they're coming, and I'm screaming to kind of to get help, and eventually, when this being or whatever this person comes, I kind of put my hands on their shoulders and I just put them on the floor, and it's my own daughter who's 11, Rachel, and she's laughing, and then it's funny because it's her. But it was really scary up to that point. My wife kind of woke me up because I was actually, making noises in my sleep as if someone was coming to get me. And there was another one similar to that a week later. It's kind of all linked to this John Bradshaw work in doing sort of dreams or nightmares when I'm young, and it sort of feels like a demonic kind of being coming to get me. Because remember I told you, Vince, about that time when I was 13, 14, and I was frozen in my bed because I thought the devil had me and I was possessed and I was going to die. And you were saying it goes back further, so it feels like it's linked to all that. Um, but yeah, it's kind of strange nightmares, dreams, nightmares,
Hmm.
being young.
So it seems to me significant that the demonic hand turned into your daughter who was playing a prank. But nevertheless, the obvious thing is that we change from being demonic to being actually family or intimate or
Yeah, and like obviously
certainly
she didn't exist back
benign.
then.
Did
Yeah,
that happen in your other dream as well, where you were?
I can't remember the second dream now. I would have told my wife, and if I asked her, she'd probably tell me. But it was a similar sort of something about being young, but I can't remember it.
Mm,
But it was so terrifying. These hands and
mm.
or something coming to get me. And it's like I'm watching a telly, but it's not a telly. I can't remember. It's like my mind's filling in blanks. I'm just waiting. And then as hands come to get me, I put my hands on it and just put it on the floor. And then it's my daughter laughed. So it was fine. It was strange. Yeah.
So it also seems to me significant that you rather than try and avoid it, you actually put your hands on it.
Yeah.
So that would suggest that there's a certain amount of courage involved, or a certain amount of something that propelled you to do that. You normally want to run away from these things, not go towards them. And here you are going towards it and putting your hands on it. So you already know something about it. It appears demonic, but you already know that you can touch it without ending up in hell or whatever.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that you see this as old stuff coming out. Yeah, bringing up.
Yeah. It feels everything is just frustrating. Everything is short tempered, grumpy. It's just fed up. Um,
You know, a good way
grumpy
to
and
look at all of that, even your grumpiness and anything else, is to see that as a kind of a protective play. It's looking after you, keeping you away from uncomfortable feelings. You know, would I go as far as to say a diversion? I don't think so in this case. So it's not, you know, it's not quite diverting, but it is in between you and what's actually going on.
I would agree with you, Vince. Yeah, when you were speaking there, it feels like I want to protect a sort of hurtedness or a hurt. Sometimes I use music. I was listening to some songs and some music, um, and I've had this before where every song, particularly poignant songs, or you know, let's say love songs, or just songs that are slow, like one example, Cyndi Lauper's "Time After Time." Like every song I listen to is like a song about awakening or truth. It all points to the truth. And I find it very emotional. Like music is great to get the emotions moving and have a good cry, which is something that's very difficult to do normally. So music helps with that. But there's
Hmm.
definitely a hurt or a love that's not easily expressed. And it's like that grumpiness is probably like a muscle waking up and starting to be used in an immature way, but it's,
Yeah,
to be
but
able to,
regardless, yeah, yeah, good.
yeah. Um, because I could resonate with Anne yesterday with her, as I was seeing it, sort of just a little fed up and wanting change and listening to intuition, and I could kind of resonate with that a little bit. Um, but it feels quite distant from this whole awakening and Ensho and what we do here. I'm just like it's like the meetings are different now, and I'm not really connected, or it's just like what am I doing here? Like what's this all about? People talking, like what's there's a disconnect. It feels disconnected in some way.
Hmm. Well, you're the meeting, so how's that happened?
Yeah, this is what I don't know. Like, man, I'm being truthful and authentic, but it's
Yeah, yeah, I get it. That's good, good stuff. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I find it really interesting the way the meetings change and morph and have their own life, so to speak. Yeah.
yeah, it's like a relationship, but it's evolving and changing. It's not the same as it was a month ago or 2 months ago. And I can't kind of get my bearings on anything. That's the real piece. I'm just not able to. There's so much change and flux and different things happening and transitions in life and people changing and everything changing. And I'm like, where's my foundation? I've no foundation. I've no grounding. Even with the job stuff, I'm there 3 months now until I get through to 6 months, that security isn't there for permanency, and I'm frustrated, and I'm not doing anything again, and I'm gonna lose this job. I'm just gonna be I'm fucked, and it's like everything is just fucked. Is how it feels. So I don't know if that's a
Mm.
good thing.
Yeah, we don't know. Who knows? Yeah.
Maybe when you're totally fucked, then you're free.
That can often be the portal, for sure. I was interested last meeting you were talking with somebody, I don't even remember who now, uh, and I thought this is good stuff. You were being very helpful in your line of inquiry with them.
Yeah, yeah. I was trying to. I know I was frustrated on that call. I know I felt disconnected, and there was lots of thoughts and ideas going around, and that they could have just made me, distance even further and hang up. But I kind of just jumped into their story and said what I wanted to say. Um, I'm always conscious though, is it fresh or is it stale? Um, but I know the chap you're talking about, he just kept asking you loads of questions, and I'm like, what's the point in this? Just asking all these intellectual questions. But then I'm probably doing the exact same thing now that someone else will be sitting there going, what's this fella on about? But I was frustrated.
The LU meeting that I didn't do 2 hours ago. Oh, they go for 3 hours.
Um, yeah, sometimes I feel like I can feel into other people's, I don't know if it's an intuition or just a sense of where they're at. But I'm always conscious of, well, I could be totally projecting me on them. So I'm either helping them or I'm helping myself one way or another. I'm speaking from where I'm at. And if it's not helpful, that'll be returned. Um,
Well, I welcome it. Morning, Stacey.
Hi.
Right.
I figured you guys would still be going.
Yeah, this one's only been going for 15 minutes.
Oh, really?
Mm.
Oh, I thought you started 2 hours ago.
Now, I did start an hour and 15 minutes ago for the guide training group, and we've moved
Oh,
into the other one now.
better
Mm.
group?
No, not feta, no. Well, not
What
feta
other one?
specific. This
Oh,
is
okay.
just the general meeting, yeah. I don't
Okay.
know how
Hi,
to.
general meeting.
nice day.
What's your name? I don't see a name displayed. No, names are not being displayed.
Oh, they are all there. Dennis with the yellow background, orange background.
Right.
That's Dennis.
Right. But I just wondered who was speaking when I walked in. Okay.
And
So
Pranesh is
Chichi,
Kevin.
okay.
Everybody else, you know. Stacey's a
Chichi.
guide. Mm.
So they say. This display so I can see everybody. Oh, come on.
I think if you turn your phone sideways, you'll get a bigger picture, and then if you can swipe it. And then
Swipe
swipe
it.
left to right or right to left, and you'll get different views.
Now I see more peoples. Hi, people. Okay. Well, don't let me disrupt, Dennis. It sounded like you're having a really good time with your bad time.
That's about right, Stacey. That's about right. Yeah, I have this desire to be guided or to be guided back to peace or something.
Guided back to peace?
Mm.
That's why there's that saying, this too shall pass. So tell me where you are in the process.
I have no clue, Stacey, where I am in or what the process is.
That's an excellent place to be.
Exactly. I like what you said, Dennis. You said something about where's the piece, as in where's the piece in the puzzle. But the word peace came up and you were saying with not knowing, where's the peace? I like that bit.
I'm glad somebody likes it, Kevin.
Well, the piece hasn't gone anywhere. It's right where it was.
Yeah, I feel like I'm about to explode. That's one way I would put it. And I even mean in my body, even just eating more than I should lately, and just everything is just like I want to explode.
Mm. Do you want to try something?
Anything.
Okay. So we're going to focus on your five senses. And it'd be good if you do this out loud. That way we'll know what you're doing, but you don't have to. So what I would like you to do is say out loud in the present moment, whatever you see. And we're going to go through each of the senses. So I see the video screen. I see my hand. I see whatever. Just do that for a couple of minutes, please.
So I see my bedroom. I see the radiator. I see the phone. I see my arm. I see the light. I see a screen. I see a bin. I see shoes.
Remember to breathe. That was about 20 seconds. Keep going.
I see a wardrobe. I see a quilt. I see a watch. I see photos. I see a ceiling. I see a floor. I see a space. I see a valve. I see hands. I see pillows. I see light.
Good.
I see.
When you feel ready, switch to hearing. I hear.
I hear Stacy. I hear a beat. I hear the wind. I hear movement downstairs. I hear silence. I hear alarms. I hear trees rustling.
Good.
I hear.
Go ahead.
That's it.
So now I feel, and when I say feel, I mean body sensations, not the labels that are emotions. Okay? I feel.
I feel an aliveness in the body.
You feel what?
An aliveness.
Yeah, that's a label. How does that come out in body terms? Something a body can feel.
Tingling.
Maybe a vibration or what do you feel?
Yeah. I feel a vibration in the body.
Good.
I feel heat. Tingling. A heartbeat.
I feel.
I feel a heartbeat.
Good.
I feel a heaviness. I feel mild pain in my foot. I feel energy in my face.
Energy is a label. What are you feeling?
Tingling. I
Good.
feel tingling.
hmm I taste. There may not be a lot, but usually there's some sort of a taste in our mouth.
Yeah, I taste. I taste the warmth of my mouth.
Good.
Taste the smoothness of my teeth.
hmm I smell.
I smell air.
Okay. Okay. It sounds like there's not a lot to smell. Nobody's frying bacon nearby.
No.
So, Dennis, how do you,
Yeah.
no, different question. Do you still want to explode? Don't go looking for it. Just where are you right now? What's right here in this moment? And you can use a label or two here if you want to. I'm not asking for body sensations on this one.
I don't. Do I still want to explode?
You do
I'm
or
just
not?
looking.
I'm okay.
It feels like the energy that we've been describing, especially in sensations, that still wants in some way to explode.
Okay. Do you find any peace?
No,
No peace.
no.
Okay. It was worth a try. That is an anxiety exercise designed to get you right straight deep into the present moment. You weren't describing anxiety, but I suspect that this explosion might not exist so much in the present moment. So you might play with that some if you feel guided to.
Yeah, it feels like the root is anger. So even in that space, it's like I want to blow up the world or the universe.
You want to blow up the world and the universe? Don't anybody let him have a gun. I live in the United States. We're having problems with that.
No, I mean, I would just do it with a blink or something. I wouldn't use a gun.
Ah, okay. Do any of the rest of you have a take on that? Whether this is a present moment thing that he's wanting to explode? It might be.
Yeah, I've come through 2 years of a lot of this similar
Oh, good.
anger, and I've come out the other end of it. I'm not quite sure how. I think Vincent has helped me. A lot of self exploration. I was doing a lot of avoiding the present moment, a lot of avoiding pain, a lot of avoiding. But as soon as I sat down with it, I'm not saying it was easy, but and support from my wife, and yeah, it was a real piece of work to live with. So yeah, and yeah, I've come to a place of peace. I really haven't got any advice apart from going within. Yeah, that's my take
Well,
on it.
that's wise because um, there is no way that we know how anything. I've stopped asking.
Yeah,
It's impossible. We don't know.
no,
It passed, yay. Could
yeah,
be back, could be done. We don't know.
yeah, yeah. I hope not, but I feel it's gone. Yeah,
But Dennis, he's right. You just sit with it. You let yourself be there and not avoid it. One thing I have noticed is that thoughts of avoidance make things take longer, ironically.
One thing
Yeah, I
that
guess.
Dennis shared with us before you came on, Stacey, was that this seems to be, just correct me if I get it wrong, Dennis, it seems to be some really old stuff starting to come out. And it feels a bit like a release or a relief for him. But at the moment, it's just expressing itself as grumpiness. So it's coming out kind of slowly and low key rather than in an explosion. So I rather imagine, Dennis, that idea of an explosion would feel a bit like a sudden, a more complete way of releasing than what's actually going on for you now. So it might have an attraction over the slow release, the slow burn that's going on at the moment.
Yeah, that's exactly it, Vince. And as you were
That makes
talking,
sense.
I remembered you talking about screaming into a pillow or something, which I've never done, and I still didn't do when you mentioned it.
What would be left after the explosion?
I want to say, Paul, a peacefulness, a calmness. So this feels quite red and hot. Peace, acceptance.
So a variation on Paul's question would be, what happens when the slow burn stuff is finished? Is it the same or different?
I don't know. And thinking about it, I'm just clarity, maybe more clarity.
So another thing that occurs to me that these images, right, that the explosion is going to be pretty messy and there's a lot of jagged edges left when it's finished, whereas the slow burn can get to every corner, every crevice gets cleaned out. It's a much cleaner finish than the explosion. Does that resonate for you?
It feels like to go through this will mean I'm going to rub up against a lot of people the wrong way, or I'm going to be disliked, and I'm going to be, hard to be with, disruptive, grumpy, disagreeable, um, basically like a prick, eh, as a counterbalance to years of being nice and, particularly with work, the persona of being helpful and being, people
Mm,
pleaser.
mm,
And I've seen my whole family, my siblings, my parents as a sort of a collective, and that's at odds with what would have been expressed. So it's like there's a desire to go and express the negative and merge with the family. And it's not just this family, it's many families.
mm. So you lost me a little bit there, but it sounds really intriguing. So it's like, am I hearing you right? You're saying that if you let your true nature out, instead of trying to be Mr. Nice Guy,
Yeah,
that you'll be more in line with the rest of the family and the
yeah,
families in general. Okay, yeah, right. So
yeah,
this Mr. Nice Guy is been actually keeping you apart from being part of the
yeah.
family.
Kind of. It feels incomplete.
Right. And that's been you all your life, though, isn't it, Mr. Nice Guy, eh?
A good bit of it, Vince, yeah.
Um, I wanted to say, I I'm English is not my first language, so I may be wrong, but it's how I hear you, Dennis. Something in your voice, and it repeats. Sometimes I can't focus on what you are saying because I only hear the melody. You have very melodic accent, I think. And for me, it sounds like you are always reciting a poem. Like,
I
oh,
don't know what to do with that, Bianca, but
But I was thinking, is this a part of this suppression? Because it's melodic, but it's also quite monotone.
that seems like a contradiction to me, but maybe I'm not understanding you.
It's, it's like this humming.
I know what she's saying. You get almost like in a trance when you're getting in touch with this sometimes. You're just like, it's just, I know what she's saying when she says monotone. You just kind of get in this, like a steady line describing things. I don't know what that
Oh yeah,
means, but I know what she's
yeah,
observing.
I would agree with
it's
that. Yeah,
like someone reading a literary prose. It is a kind of rhythm, but it's very very quiet, very.
And are you saying, Bianca and Dennis, is it fake? Is it not spontaneous, not authentic?
To me, it's
Is
like
that
he's reading the same script. It's authentic, but it's the same script.
Yeah, it reminds me of how people report at 12-step meetings. They get into this kind of a 12-step tone and they're reporting their story.
It could be.
so? It's not authentic.
Well, it is just a way of communication, and everyone is communicating in this way, but he knows how to.
Hmm. Does it ring right for you, Dennis, that what Bianca's saying is that happens?
no, I'm just trying to process what people are saying. I understand now what Bianca meant about the monotone, because Paul clarified it, that sometimes when I'm talking about something or talking to somebody, I'll quieten down, and
Like what you're doing right now.
yeah, because part of me is aware of my surroundings and the people around me and people passing, and it's like it's not something I just want to be shouting about. Whereas if I'm on my own, I'm more expressive and more
Spontaneous.
more, more spontaneous, more myself. Yeah,
Maybe more alive.
yeah. I'm, which it's strange, isn't it? Because I'm not on my own. I'm here with 6, 10, 12 people, but something about my family around me and this spiritual stuff and talking and being open and authentic and saying how you feel. It's there's a guardedness around it.
Well, the story wanders from past, skips over the present and goes into the future, and tends to skip over the present, go back to the past of how your father was, and then skips over to the future. You know, what is this explosion going to be like? And I think what Stacy was pointing you to is get here. Pay more attention to this moment. You kind of wander off into stories. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's a flow. I mean, it's a very even flow, but the biggest part of it is not in this moment. Biggest part of it is past, future, past, future.
yeah. I suppose the way I look at that, Paul, is you come on here, you can be quiet and just listen, or you can talk. And when you talk, you tell stories, and inevitably they're either about how you're feeling now or how you're connecting that with your past and everything else we talk about. Otherwise, I just wouldn't say anything. So,
Yeah, I just want to say that I agree with Paul. He's kind of saying um, like we have to speak in labels to communicate, but the final destination is right here, right now. I think that's what Paul's alluding to. Yeah.
Well, and it's not even a destination, it's all there is. Everything else, past and future, are completely made up, just like self. And that's why sometimes getting into that present moment with focusing very strongly on the five senses can be very helpful, because that's where you're not, so to speak. That's where you really look, not back there and not up there. It's right here. And it's a practice. I keep telling my clients, they don't know how to do it. They want to know what to do. They want to get something to happen. They want to control it. You can't do that. It's more likely to creep up on you when you're not practicing. But practicing prepares you, sort of. Sunryu Suzuki said, enlightenment is an accident. Meditation makes you accident prone. It just sneaks up on you. You can't control it. You can't force it. You can't take steps. You know, we're not baking a cake here. I can't mix it all together and have a cake. But it'll show up when you're relaxed. That's another thing. Relaxation got a couple of clients talking about how stressed they are and how desperate they are. And I said, gotta let that go. You can't do it. Stressed and desperate ain't gonna happen. Somewhere in there's got to be a relaxed moment. Doesn't have to be all the time, but somewhere in a relaxed, unguarded, I'm going to say that again, unguarded moment, you'll see clearly.
Yeah, I kind of feel defensive, and I'm like, okay, first of all, you can't get out of the moment. So saying I'm not here is bullshit. And that I've done this and stuff comes up and we talk about going into our past and inner child and we talk about all this stuff. And so I start to do that. Now people are saying, come back to the moment. I'm like, what the fuck do you want me to do? So yeah, I definitely feel.
You feel confused right now?
Yeah, it feels like my mind isn't putting it all together.
Your mind is not putting it together. Okay. So my impression of you right at the moment is that you're stuck standing on a fence. And on one side you've got Dennis, who's alone and spontaneous and able to express and be more alive. And on the other side, you've got Mr. Nice Guy, who takes into account everybody else's feelings and so on and so on. And you don't know which way to jump. Are you going to get off the fence on that side or that side? No, you don't want either side. You want something that's not one side or the other, don't you? So you're kind of stuck on the fence.
Yeah, I feel like I'm stuck on the fence and my nuts are in the barbed wire and people are describing the trees around me.
Beautiful. I love that. Can I use that? That's great. Yeah, I mean, I'm laughing, but I know it's not funny.
Well, it
Yeah,
is in one way, but in another way, it's like,
yeah.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable. It's about as uncomfortable as it gets.
Yeah. So you're fucked. You don't know who you are.
and I mean, when the authentic thing came up, like, are you being authentic? And you were asking I don't know who was asking the question, and everyone was quiet. And I wasn't even sure if you were asking me or Bianca's opinion of me. And I was like, I'm as authentic as I possibly can be. And the only way I can be more authentic is just to shut up.
That is one option. There's a reason for silent retreats.
Yeah, done plenty of them, Stacey.
Say again?
Yeah, I've done plenty of them.
You have, okay.
Dennis, I can only speak from my experience. I've done a lot of searching, a lot of grasping. And when I stopped, that's when I found actually more a serene way to be. I don't want to preach, but because I'm not even at the beginning, but yeah, that helped me a lot. Just stopping, searching for peace, even.
So how do you do that, Kevin? How do you stop?
Well, through being in the body, the way you showed me, I stopped trying to know. That was a big thing. I've got a very analytical brain. I see aspects of myself in Dennis, and I was always looking. But what's implied in that looking is a criticism of myself, even. So I began accepting myself through conversations with my father, who I had big problems with, and we cleared up a lot of stuff. And it didn't happen 20 years ago when I was 40. It happened now when I'm 60. I didn't plan it this way. I really don't know. It's grace, I suppose. And when I started to change, I met good people like yourself and this group. You know, it feels like the world opens up when you're ready. That's how I would say. Not very helpful, I know, but
Oh no, it is, Kevin. It is, and you said some helpful things in the past. I think it's just something I'm going through, and I'm expressing it. So maybe there is no fix. It's just
no, that's right. I get it. Yeah. No, there is a fix. Don't ask me how to get there, though. Yeah. I wish I could help. Being in this group's a good start. I think it's awesome.
So that fence analogy that I just went through with you, Dennis, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because there's no satisfaction anywhere. There's no satisfaction staying on a fence. There's a lot of energy to keep balanced up there, and you don't want to become Mr. Explosive, and you don't want to become Mr. Nice Guy, or at least maybe there's this idea that there isn't any one personality or whatever you want to call it that you're going to settle on, that maybe wherever you end up will incorporate all of these things, or as a result of them all being mixed together, they'll perhaps change in intensity, but nevertheless they may, where you end up may be not as any one thing, one person, one personality, or whatever.
yeah, maybe yeah.
Maybe you'll discover you've got wings and you can fly off the fence. I don't know where that came from.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just it's a phase of anger, definitely.
Is that mixed up with frustration? I mean, you really want to end all this shit, don't you, and get somewhere. Here you are still on the fence.
Yeah, they feel like the same thing, anger, frustration. They're all it's all the same family of feelings.
May I give you
I could,
a possible? I'm sorry, I didn't know you weren't finished.
no, sorry, Stacey. I was just going to say, it feels like, if you haven't expressed anger for so long, particularly when you were younger, and I know I'm telling a story now about my past again, so sorry for going into my past, but if you've suppressed it for so long and now it's somehow coming out, it's uncomfortable, but it's necessary. Well, there's not a lot I can do about it. So yeah.
So I learned a definition of anger, God, 40 years ago. The man who came up with it is God since then, even. Phil Lott. But anyway, anger is the intent to do something contaminated with the illusion that we are presently helpless. Anger is the intent to do something contaminated with the illusion that we are presently helpless. So you may find helplessness under the anger, And the definition tells you what to do. Don't be helpless. Notice you're not helpless. You think you're helpless. You think you can't do anything. But the truth is, if you started dancing and singing right now, you probably would not continue to feel anger. You could do something. And I'm not saying that's what you need to do. I'm just saying, anger is not 100% of your 24/7 experience. There are other things. But notice how you are not helpless. And that might start putting a crack in that anger. Good
I'm
for me. I was
resonating with
free.
what you're saying, Stacey. The way I would describe it for me is there's been a lot of anxiety and fear throughout my life from my late teens to relatively recently. And the anger is a way out of that, a freedom from that, a kind of a way of cutting through all that I'm angry and pissed off about being afraid and helpless. The anger is the life force.
Yeah, it can be very useful. I mean, I wouldn't have the right to vote if a few people had not gotten really angry that women could not vote. Right?
And I'd much rather be angry than be fearful and have panic attacks and be afraid.
Well, anytime you're fearful, you can do that 5 senses exercise. That's what it's really for. It's for anxiety. It takes you to a part of your brain that cannot do anxiety. So that might be useful for those times. But
yeah, they don't happen anymore, but there's still that little fear that they may come back. So
well, and the other thing is notice you're okay right now. Is there anybody around you at the moment that is threatening you in some way? Or are you sitting comfortably in a chair in a nice house and have enough food and have enough clothing and I don't know what else, but the basics are probably taken care of, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And nobody has a gun at your head and nobody's threatening you with a sword or anything else, not even words. There's no one yelling at you. There's no one telling you what kind of bad person you are. None of that is happening right now.
No, the only thing that's bothering me is the sense of disconnect from the group, this sense of I kind of feel like I'm being turfed out of the group slowly here.
Here? Huh.
Yeah.
Well, let me point out that since that is not something you're seeing, nobody's like shoving you. No, not something you're hearing. I didn't hear anyone say that. Sensation, not sure. But that's probably not direct experience at the moment. It's thoughts. The worst that can happen is a thought. I'm Katie. So what you're thinking. There's no reality to these things. They're not happening right now. What you're thinking. And that's why as guides, we keep taking you back to direct experience and away from thought. Because thoughts lie. Thoughts make up stories. All of that's thought.
I don't know. Yeah. See, I don't think I'm thinking. I feel rejected. And so, okay, you might say, well, I must be thinking that in some way, but I'm not actively
That's okay.
thinking.
Where is it? Where is it in your body? Where do you feel rejected? Where in your body do you feel rejected?
No, there's a sense of because I feel rejected, I want to get angry.
Okay, that's a story. Where in your body do you feel rejected and you want to get angry?
Definitely chest and jaw.
Mm-hmm. And would you describe that as tight, heavy, contracted, or the opposite? Loose, light, expansive?
Neither of those feel right.
Give me your word. And a body sensation this time, rather than an interpretation.
Just alive with energy.
Just energy. If it's just energy, it confuses me how you could feel rejected, how you're putting the label rejected on that. I'm not saying you're wrong. I just don't understand it.
Yeah, no, it's just a feeling. It's how I felt. So it's okay if you don't understand it.
Yeah, I don't need to understand your feelings. That's true. Actually, you don't need to understand your feelings necessarily. Understanding is the booby prize. All that thinking is a booby prize. Doesn't get us anywhere.
Let's turn it around, Dennis. As I find it, I've experienced this with other people that they feel like a disconnect with the group, or they feel like they're rejected. I haven't heard those words before, but let's turn it around the other way and let's say, why are you rejecting the group? Just as a play. They're a bunch of wankers who just want to talk about stuff.
Guilty as charged.
There's an undertone. It just when you said that, there's something about being serious about this. That this is very serious, and it goes along with that sort of tone when I'm talking, because it's like it's serious. And if people aren't taking it seriously, so I'm making a judgment on people that they're not taking it seriously. So then am I not taking it seriously? It just feels so far removed from anything spiritual.
Oh, thank God.
I agree. I can't find a spirit in my direct experience. I've concluded there is no such.
What is taking it seriously for you?
It's like I want to say, stop fucking around and get to the point. And I can feel that part of my dad on his way.
Well, that's some story about taking it seriously from the past. What is taking it seriously right now?
I'm not sure how to answer that, Paul, other than to say that's what I'm doing right now. Because it feels very uncomfortable. And I could just go, okay, I'm fine. That's enough for me. Thanks. Let someone else talk now.
What is uncomfortable? Describe it.
I think it's like, it feels like standing up for myself, having a different and alternative opinion than others, and making my point and being willing to disagree. And
Well, that's a good definition of uncomfortable, but what does uncomfortable feel like right now? What sensations are in the body that you label uncomfortable?
the energy in the head, chest, throat.
Is that the same sensation as not taking it seriously for you, or taking it seriously?
Yeah, yeah. At the same time, it feels like getting ready for a fight.
Dennis, are you familiar with Alan Watts at all?
Yeah, I would have listened to a good bit of him, Stacey. Yeah.
I remember something about, I think one of his books is called The Game of Black and White. And I remember a lot of laughter. I listened to a lot of his talks on Sunday mornings when I was a teenager. And I know that also myself, when I was doing some pointers in a particular, I guess you'll call it a meditation class, we were doing a meditation on death. We were looking at the moment of death, like right there. And I burst into laughter and I could not stop. It's recorded. I could share it with you. But I just couldn't even stop. It was all of a sudden a huge, I guess some people say cosmic joke. So, we're giving you so many ideas. It's probably just cluttering your head, but try laughing. I think that's one of Rajneesh's exercises too, is to do a belly laugh. Even if you have to force it to stop, just get started. But try to get yourself into a belly laugh and the opposite of the seriousness that you've been doing, and just see what happens.
Yeah, you just reminded me of, I think it was 3 or 4 days ago, I was at a conference with a guy in work, and we were texting on WhatsApp previously, and WhatsApp, everyone kind of has their own pictures, and there was a picture of him as a baby, and I was messing, and I kind of showed it to him. He was a baby, I had it blown up, not realizing my WhatsApp picture was me on a beach with like a hat. I looked like I don't know what, pair of shorts on. And he showed that to me, and the two of us just started laughing, and we couldn't stop. It was like you're at church and you're not supposed to laugh, and we were just in stitches for 10 minutes. We couldn't stop laughing, and it was absolutely amazing.
I bet that was really good for you where you're at right now.
Yeah, and every time I realize the futility of something, I naturally start smiling or laughing. It's like, and sometimes, well, a lot of the times when I'm on here just listening, it's just, I have a smile on my face. People could be talking about things that might be terrible, but to me, this is great in one way. So it's another contradiction.
Yeah, we were looking at death, for heaven's sakes. How much more serious? A lot of people think that's really serious, and I don't anymore. When people tell me that they're dying or a relative's dying, I said, you know what? I am not the person you want to talk to. Let me just tell you that right now. Because, I mean, I'm not any good for these people with stories of how horrible it is. I can't believe that anymore. If you want to message me in any fashion, I can share these recordings with you. There's like 13 pointers. You can try them. But yeah, so maybe go the other direction and see if that does anything to really lighten your load. I don't know. Wait a minute, you're laughing again. Stop that. This is all very serious.
Well, you're saying we weren't being serious enough.
He was, I know. But maybe that's what's needed. I don't know.
It's all I can do to be serious.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of talking about it, what if we actually had a big laugh? Let's all have a big laugh. Okay, for the next 5 minutes, laughing.
5 minutes is a long time.
Yeah, all right. For the next minute, fake it if you've got to. Fake it if you've got to. I want to see everybody laughing.
I don't think you're faking it, Vince.
No. Yeah, it's pretty funny, all these people sitting here laughing. Oh.
Oh boy, that changes how the body feels.
Mm-hmm.
Whew. Made me hot too.
You know, when I was going through some early recovery stuff from childhood sexual trauma, and I was furious. I call it the angry years. For a while, every now and then, I'm a big fan of Douglas Adams' Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And I would get started reading his first book, and I could not get past the first couple of pages without laughing my ass off. And it was very helpful for me to do that. I don't know what you've got that you can laugh at, but if there's something that always gets you laughing, give it a shot. Are you in England? Are you British?
I'm in Ireland,
Dennis?
Stacey.
Ireland? Okay. Are you familiar with the book?
Yeah, it comes to mind. I don't know if I read some of it before as well. I think my wife has it. I'll check it out.
Mm-hmm.
I watch a lot of comedy, a lot of stand-up comedy and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely to laugh. But I do.
BBC put out an audio book of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And I remember years ago back, actually it was 1976, I can remember listening to that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was
that
just
thing exists in every
fantastic.
format now. Yeah, it is. It's fantastic.
There was TV series and it was good. movie is not. Don't watch
Right.
the
No, the
movie.
movie,
There's
ignore
two.
the American movie. Just ignore the American movie. They tried, they didn't get it. Do the
There,
BBC series. It's on YouTube. You can find it. It's easy.
Yeah.
yeah, it's very complicated. I was sure in later years, not when I was first listening to it, but later years, I was absolutely sure that Douglas Adams was awake.
You know, I think he was. Honestly, I don't know how he wrote that without being at least somehow awake.
There are so many references to the stuff we talk about that it's just you can't escape it, you know.
Yep.
Yeah. Like the whale falling from the sky saying, "What's the meaning of life?"
And the bowl of petunias. Oh no, not again.
It's good stuff.
I have that up in my office. It's painted on a flower pot. I tried growing petunias in it, but they died. All right, that's about all I don't know. I tend to last for about an hour. So I'm going to say goodbye to you guys. Good to meet all of you and hear you. And Dennis, this too shall pass. I don't know. I wish you the
Stacey.
best.
Yeah, thank you, Stacey. Thank you for coming. That was great. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I enjoyed it. Thank you very much for having me.
Okay, so it's 8:22 here, and I've got to go off and see the doctor this morning to get my cast off. Um, and probably the latest I could leave here would be around 9ish, so a bit over half an hour, and I'll pull the plug, or sooner if nobody's got anything they want to talk about.
I don't know what I want to say. Hello. Um, do you know what, Dennis? I always I resonate so much with what you talk about. And I often think, I wish I could communicate, wish I could express like that. I find it difficult to kind of get out what I want to say, but I didn't really hear the beginning of what you were talking about. This week has been more changes, much more noticing. I'm noticing. It's just pause. It's like there's something that comes up, and then there's like a little bit of a moment where there's a different perspective that comes in. But there's one particular thing that I've only ever noticed since I've been in recovery from drinking, and it's this. It is a very bodily contraction, and it'll just come from. It seems to come from nowhere, and I've been trying to stop and see, well, and it could be while I'm working, it could be. It has something to do with people expecting something of me, And it could be really minor stuff, but this like real tense, and it does feel like I want to. You used the word exploding, and it happened again today, just out of the blue. And I noticed what I used to do is just either push through it because I've got to get this done. And then there's been a period of avoiding, so getting up and of getting something else done, just trying to get out of that feeling. And today I just noticed it, and it was still too intense. It seemed too intense to do what I usually do. I just sit and look at it. Yeah, it's the one thing that I really don't want to feel. I just really don't want to feel that. And there was a very, very slight moment today when I thought maybe I could just sit and be with this. Maybe this is, the monster under the bed again. But it's so uncomfortable, so uncomfortable. But it's not here now. Right now, it's not here. It's just not here.
Can you do anything to bring it back? I'm not don't do that now, but I mean, have you recognized a trigger for it?
No, because what surprised me today, Vince, was that it just came out of nowhere. Like there was just flow, it was just going, and nothing particularly happened, and there it was again.
Mm.
Then the other times that I could probably look at a trigger is when could be quite happy in my own company, and then somebody comes into my space, or
Somebody expects something of you?
Something, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And actually what they ask for is nothing, it could be help with something, or yeah. And the other thing I've noticed is I've noticed the build up as well. Like I can sense when it's coming, and it'll be quite tense, and then it can get more tense. And today I noticed it actually subsided earlier than getting to a very intense state. And then I'm trying not to do anything. I'm trying not to avoid anything. Just watched, and then I noticed that I just got on with stuff, and it hadn't flared up, so to speak. Yeah.
Do you? I mean, the thought occurs here, so I'm just want to check it out with you. Do you think that when somebody expects something of you, regardless of what they expect, there is just an overarching feeling that you're not going to be able to deliver. You're not up to it, whatever it is that they want.
That hadn't occurred to me, but I'm noticing that I'm getting quite quite tense with that. Yeah. There's still something around invading my space, invading something of mine. And I don't know what that is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just play with these things to get closer to what might be going on. You can play with different words or different descriptions or different images of that. And so they're in your space. So I'm wondering if there's a connection between them being in your space and them expecting something of you. So maybe if you had your space to yourself, that eliminates their expectations. Maybe. I'm just playing with it. Yeah.
I don't know. Don't think so.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. It's like I was trying to think of the example today. I was just going along quite happily, and then it just came out of nowhere. I think it's definitely a thought, a belief that comes in that I can't quite see.
So can you see what triggered that to start? What were you doing at the time when it first turned up? Was it something about your circumstances that might have triggered it, or was it something that
I was
did?
doing some paperwork. Yeah, I was doing some finance stuff online, personal stuff today.
You say the thought is invading your space. Have you ever recognized the thought before? I mean, you can't get in touch with it today. Have you ever recognized the invasive thought before? Is it the same?
It seems like it's becoming more visible, more recognizable. Like I think before was just a feeling, whereas what I'm doing now is when the feeling comes, just see if there's anything. What was the thought that came before that? Whereas before I wasn't doing that. I was too busy trying to get away from the feeling. So now there's a bit more curiosity about when that sensation happens. Like there's no big story that comes with it. There's no big particular there's no common narrative apart from that. And just leave me alone. Just leave me alone. Just go away. I'm more peaceful when I'm on my own.
I can relate to that.
Is the thought, do you feel like the thought is identified as other than you? That it's not your thought?
Could you just say that again, Paul?
Do you feel like the thought that is invading is not your thought, but it may be similar to, even have its own identity? Is there the feeling that it's not your thought?
Yes. 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 Yeah, I do. It's like somebody over my shoulder That's yeah, that's interesting.
Are they being critical?
No, they're being demanding. They're
Right.
demanding something. They're
Okay.
not. No, it's not critical. It and that's related to that feeling of overwhelm. It is related to, because if I leave it to go, it gets into total overwhelm and I can't do anything. Just the cogs just stop.
What is it demanding?
Oh gosh, I can feel it. Oh, my stomach. It's
Did your
very
stomach
serious.
did your
Yeah,
stomach get tight? How would you
yeah,
describe what you felt in your stomach?
tight and like bending over a little.
Mm. Not no nausea.
No,
Was it sharp?
no, no. It's like it wants to curl up into a ball.
Mm. And what was the question Paul asked you that caused that stomach reaction?
What is it demanding of you?
So say it aloud, Lou. Say, what do you want from me?
What What do you want from me? What do you want? What do you want? What do you want from me? It's like it's responsibility. It's like to get something right. And I just remembered that what I do remember about, there was something else that triggered it, is that if I there was a moment of getting quite present and it would dissipate a bit. As soon as there was something else, it would quite quickly come back. It's like um it's just like all capacity really, really gets very small.
You said it was getting quite pleasant when it came.
Not pleasant. Did you say pleasant?
Did you say just when you were feeling pleasant when it came or present?
Present, present,
Oh,
present.
sorry.
Yeah. When I got into the, like, yeah,
So it's
just,
demanding that you not be present.
well, it seemed today that the very fact it was there was a little bit of a reminder to, I'll be here.
Say that last one again. I missed it.
It's almost like the very fact it came today was a reminder to just, I know today was different. very different. It's like a very, very small scent of it being I don't know, unnecessary.
Maybe it's threatened by your recent noticing of things. Right, you'll see through it.
Come back to what you said before about whose is that? Who like last week or the week before, I had this this kind of like this realization that I have I had a bit of a thought that I can cope with anything, like not like the old way of doing stuff. Like there's just a way. Oh gosh, how do I say it? Like to stop trying to use tools and techniques and other people's just wanted to follow my own intuition a bit more. And that's what I think it felt like today. It's like the intuition to actually just be here. Just I was looking at my keyboard, I was looking at my hands and the creases in my hands, and I was just really, and then it just dissipated. What did you just ask me, Paul? I feel like I've gone off on a bit of a story there.
Well, I was just saying, maybe, and this is speaking figuratively, it's threatened by the fact that you're noticing it. Maybe you're noticing now that it has no power. You're saying it seems like it's dissipating. It's some element of the psyche or ego that may not want you doing this. I'm not saying it's that at all. It's just food for thought. A lot of strange things comes up with people in this inquiry.
I had a thought there that I can't wait for it to come back now.
It's like that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Show yourself.
Yeah. I really am noticing that I'm feeling very hot and very uncomfortable speaking. And didn't want to speak. A very familiar feeling of shyness, being very shy. Yeah, I feel really hot. But I just feel like I just want to get everything out. I just want to expose everything. Just like you were saying, Vince, just want to have a good sweep out, see what's there. So anyway, I've done it now.
Yeah, very good. Yeah.
There's something amazing about this group that a depth of like really speaking the truth in the moment, what's going on, and resonating with others.
Yeah, I get that. That brings me to something that came up earlier, what Stacey and Dennis were talking, and that Dennis, you said something about, there's nothing spiritual happening. And I'll so of course, years ago, the only way to even relate to this stuff when we were looking for books was to say, well, go in the bookshop, where's the spiritual section? Right? So it was all spiritual, wasn't it? Because it was that transfer from the east to the west. What Alan Watts did was bring a huge amount of that stuff into our culture from the Eastern cultures and so on. But and I went along with all of that. I saw myself as a spiritual seeker. Now I can't find anything spiritual in it. This is all very human stuff to me. Nothing transcendent whatsoever. It's all very basic human nature stuff that we're talking about. And so it feels like, there's nothing, any idea of it being spiritual is getting away from the point that we're trying to make. This is fundamentally human shit, and that's what we're talking about.
I love that. I've heard you say that before, and the more that's uncovered, it's just everyday stuff. Like it's just, I mean, all the neuroscience and stuff is interesting, but actually when it's experiential right now in the moment, even the uncomfortableness, like the the freedom to go towards the fear is, for me, has been amazing. Like to come into the body and not be fearful of those sensations, and be more curious. It's been amazing, and I know there's more to come. But it's not white lights and angels, and it's however, some of the realizations of how life has been lived up until realizing some of this is that's where I suppose don't like to use the word miracles, but that's where the amazing, when there's a shift in perspective, to go from this to that, that still blows my mind. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of mind-blowing stuff here. There's a lot of mind-blowing stuff available to us as we get out of the old dream. The new dream is way better than the old dream. Yeah. And there is a lot of stuff that I call magic, that and it can get very woo-woo-ish easily too. But that's still based on practical stuff. We still can see the neuroscience behind it, and so on and so on. So it still doesn't take it into the realm of the absolute, the God stuff or whatever. I mean, there's no need for that. Yeah.
I'm sorry. We have little time and I get nervous because I feel the need to get things straight with Dennis before we finish.
Yeah. Better ask him if he's up for it.
I don't know. If I fuck up, I fuck up.
Yeah. Give it to him anyway. Yeah.
So, Dennis, what I told you because you are a part of group. That's how I see you. I don't go around telling people how I hear their tones.
Yeah, no, Bianca, I had no issue with what you said. You described me as a melodically poety, but then you mentioned the monotone, which I just didn't understand, and then Paul clarified it, so I understood what you meant. I think it was Vince who said I was being inauthentic, not you, which triggered me. So
Yeah, but also, I've said that I often can't hear what you are talking about. I hear only your tone. And I understand that you can take it, but I don't take you seriously.
do you mean you can't understand my accent, or you can't hear my sound? What is it?
No, it's
I think she was talking about herself.
the story you are telling is not getting to me.
Oh, I get you.
Know.
Yeah. I experience that too sometimes when other people are talking. Yeah.
And I don't know. It can be that there is something in this story that I don't want to deal with, so my mind just blocks it, maybe. Or maybe just in some way my attention is drawn to the tone, that it is more important. Maybe that the tone is, maybe the tone is in the present and the story is not in the present. That's an optimistic way.
That's a good insight, actually.
Do you think, Bianchi, like you might want to say something to me, or jump in and make a comment, and you're holding your tongue? Like you could be my best teacher and you just won't open your mouth.
Well, I thought before about mentioning this tone, this
That was a good insight. I'll repeat that. She said your tone is very much in the moment, but your stories aren't. That's interesting.
Yes, and now I think that when you said that the group is rejecting you and not treating you seriously, all of that, it sounded to me like you got a bit angry and your tone changed. It's it's like I'm taking your tone very seriously.
His anger brought him right back into the moment, in a way, out of the story. That's interesting.
Yeah, it is, and I'm not putting a lot together tonight. This is a weird meeting for me. Like when Lou was talking there, I could relate, and you're talking about the authenticity, and I was feeling like, and I genuinely come to every meeting with an like open, speaking my mind. I remember at the start of these groups going, do I really want to talk about lots of stuff and share? And, who's watching these videos? And I'm like, fuck it, let's just be open, say what I want to say, tell the story, be authentic and whatever. And then to have that sort of kind of, and I don't know if it was a question or there was a sense of, I felt like I was being challenged for my authenticity. And I'm like, well, fuck this. I'm totally being authentic. Now I'm pissed off. Which is fine too. There's another emotion to work with, but
Yeah, what comes up for me there is that we could look at what we mean by authenticity, and what I mean when I say authenticity is basically being honest with ourself. And so I'm actually talking about recognizing what's behind what I say, as much as yeah. So there wasn't no criticism implied from me by any means, just description, and even that was speculative. And I actually didn't hear you say that we weren't taking you seriously. I heard you say that we weren't being serious enough. You were being serious, but we weren't being serious enough. That's what I
like,
heard.
yeah, I think we were flipping it from what I was saying to how I might be projecting, and so you turned it around. We were doing a bit of Byron Katie on it or something. It was just the whole thing got confusing, and I had about 4 people talking to me, and I didn't know what way was up, and I'm just like, okay, and then yeah, then I just didn't get what you were saying, Bianca, about, and to be honest, I still, I think I'm, no, I still don't get it fully. Like I'm putting pieces together. You were talking about a melodical voice, and then you were talking about not getting me. I got that latest piece about the block where you just not resonating, and that's fine. Not everybody resonates with everybody.
What I heard Bianca say wasn't so much that, but that she was being self-aware at the same time, and what she was seeing was that there was a, um, a something was discordant between the content of what you're saying and how you were saying it. That's what I heard her say.
Yeah, but is that separate from the comment about the melodical or the?
No, not separate. No, that's
was the monotone.
But yeah, but it was more complex than that, because if correct me if I'm wrong, Bianca, but she was saying that it was both melodic and monotonous at the same time, and that both of those things, that the sound component of it didn't gel with the content of what was being talked about. There was some kind of incongruity going on.
Well, it was kind of hypnotic. And you kind of get in, it's like when somebody's reading poetry and it's da da da, and it gets like hypnotic and cathartic in a way, but it's kind of you tend to lose you lose track of the content, and you're just kind of caught in the melody sense. That's what I got out of it.
Like mantras,
Yeah.
Kanji Zaibo Sagyo. It is melodic, but it's not.
Yeah, it's what I was saying. You kind of get into when you get into that train of thought, you're just so completely in it that you kind of lose out or kind of lose out on some of the what you call normal vocal inflections and stuff like that. You're just so deep into that story. I mean, it's not saying anything good or bad. It's just an observation. It's kind of hypnotic for you and for the listener in a way.
I would say don't look to take anything out of it yet. Just just swim around in it and see what happens.
Notice it.
And of course, Bianca was talking about Bianca, and Paul's talking about Paul, and I'm talking about Vince. And so it's all just grist for the mill. No conclusions required.
Yeah, no, and I was feeling, like I said, it's sort of a feeling attacked by it, or not, that's a strong word, but just uncomfortable. And it's like, why are people talking about the way I speak? Like, what has that got to do with anything?
Exactly. And that's a
Because,
great defensive maneuver you got into there.
well, right now you're speaking very much in the present moment. And that's what I'm trying to point to. I don't know if idea. Right now, your vocal inflections is moving up and down and stuff like that. But when you get into that story, that stops. It's very trance-like. It's not good or bad. I mean, we all get off in flights of fantasy or memory or whatever. It's just something to notice that you're not really here at times when you get caught in the story.
And is it like when I'm talking about my past or my,
Yes, when you're principally when you get to talking about your anger, you get into the story from the past and you kind of project it into the future and then you kind of slide back to the past. The story goes kind of back and forth and it has a very even tone about it. You see, when you're talking in the present, you're motioning and gesturing and everything. When you slide off into those stories, you're just there and it's just very lost in thought. I don't know any better way to put that.
Mm.
And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying it's something to notice because this is all about staying in the moment as much as possible. And I think that's what the little exercise Stacy was giving is get you out of the head into the body, which keeps you in the moment a lot more, which is a very
Yeah,
useful
Paul.
exercise.
But you know, Paul, I can see in myself how I can make a story from everything, even about a story about contraction in my stomach.
It happens, but you notice
Yeah,
that it happens. See, many people
yeah.
won't.
And
This is
so
all
what you've
about
got,
noticing. Go ahead.
I was going to say, Dennis, what you've got from all of this is just a big question mark. So maybe you will notice yourself next time something triggers you to notice what's happening. You might notice it as a purely mental thing, or you might notice it in your conversations with other people, or you might only notice it here in the group. Yeah. But there's nothing to do now with it except notice if that happens. But we've got you now. We'll pursue this at future groups.
okay.
Yeah, I've got to go. Time for me to go. Sorry to cut it short like that.
See you guys.
Thank you.